cooking a beef mince lasagna. These are all the ingredients we're going to be using. We have beef mince, close cup mushrooms, chopped tomatoes, lasagna sheets, onions, mature cheddar cheese, margarine, self-raising flour. Usually use plain flour to make a bechamel sauce, but all we have is self-raising flour, so we are not going to allow that to stop us, and we're going to use the self-raising flour. 7 cloves of garlic, some big, some small. I really like there to be a lot of garlic in my food, plus there is a lot of meat, so we definitely need it. 1 tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of thyme and a teaspoon of rosemary, and some milk. So now you've seen all the ingredients we need to get started. Let's get cooking. So the first thing we're going to do is to turn on the fire and start frying the minced beef on a high heat. This is 1 kilogram of minced beef, 20% fat. I usually buy the 15% fat minced beef, but this one was a little bit cheaper, and so I decided to opt for it because the fat difference wasn't that much. You can get whatever minced beef you feel like you prefer.
And you don't need to add any oil, because
no
there's enough fat already in the meat. Once the meat has already completely brown, and the water has completely dried up, then if the fat is too much, you can drain it off.
Yeah.
You know, you want to eat healthy. But if the fat, if you can hardly see it under the pan, then you don't have to worry about it. You can just start adding other stuff.
So just allow it to brown until you can no longer see any red. And that's when you can
no longer any water.
No longer any water, and only fat.
Only fat.
Yeah, and then after that you can drain the fat.
It's cooking. By the time actually the water drains completely, you know, the meat is already cooked halfway.
So at this point you want to drain off the oil. As you can see, it's getting almost stuck at the pan. So I'm going to drain off all the oil and then bring it back to the hob. So I drained off the oil using the lid of the saucepan. So I'm just going to add in the chopped onions and continue to fry them with the mince. I actually lowered the fire while I was chopping the onions. If you don't have everything prepared, it's always a good idea to lower the fire. Now I'm going to turn the fire up again, just a bit. Not as high as it was before, more on a medium heat. I'm going to start off by crushing the garlic and then adding them to the onions. I like to use this tool here. It's very, very handy when it comes to crushing garlic, and I'll show you exactly how it works. I cut off the end. I'm going to skin all the garlic. Okay, there we have all 7 cloves. And we'll just start off, just put in as many as possible. Some of them can be vertical, and that helps. And then just crush. I just keep adding and adding. Crush, just keep adding, crush, keep adding, crush, keep adding, crush. And then I can put it round a second time. Keep adding, empty it all onto the counter or directly into the meat. It doesn't have to be perfect. If I was using a knife, it wouldn't be perfect anyway. I've just added the garlic in there, and I'm going to continue to stir. These are my spices here. Top right is salt, top left is rosemary, bottom left is thyme, and the bottom right is black pepper. I'm just going to add them all in there. Now I'm going to add in the 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. Just a bit of water. And continue to stir. Now because I want to make this sauce extra saucy, I'm going to also add some concentrated tomato puree. 2 tablespoons. I didn't mention this before, but this is something that I really like to add so that it's extra tomatoey and it's not watery. It's actually very, very saucy. At this point you can taste it to see if all your spices are enough. You can see it's getting a much nicer, richer color, and I'm going to cover it while I chop the mushrooms and turn the heat down to a medium-low heat. So I'm going to wash the mushrooms and then chop them up pretty roughly. The sauce looks delightful. I turn the fire down a little bit. You can see it's coming along nicely. It looks much richer in person than on screen. Add the mushrooms and just stir it all in. It will cook down, and you might want to add more water just so that it's able to cook. I'm going to add a bit of water. I'm going to add about a cup of water. Very saucy, perfect for a lasagna. This sauce tastes absolutely delicious. Garlicky, and you can just imagine the flavors once the mushrooms have cooked down. Just checking on the sauce, it is still simmering down, so I'm going to allow it to continue doing that while I prepare the bechamel sauce. So now I'm going to get started on the white sauce, the bechamel sauce. I'm going to add the milk and gently bring it to a boil. In this pan, I'll add the margarine and allow it to melt, and then add the flour. Keep it on a relatively low heat. So I'm going to add half a partially sliced onion into the milk, and once it begins to boil, I'll remove it. Butter is nearly completely melted. It's doing well because it's on a very low heat, while the milk is on a high heat. So now that the milk has started to boil, I will remove the onion. So I'm going to start adding flour and mixing it into a paste. I want to get it into a nice paste. Just going to keep on adding it very, very slowly, bit by bit. Bit by bit, just to get it into a really nice paste. So now I'm going to remove this onion from the milk and combine the 2 pots. There's a little bit more onion left in there. So now I'm going to add the butter and flour into the milk, and it will naturally just combine as I mix it. So because this is a bit too lumpy, I've resorted to my mixer just to get it smooth, and then I will probably add a little bit more milk and water. You see it's much smoother, it almost looks like batter. I'm going to add the remaining milk. Going to add a pinch of salt, also going to add a pinch of pepper, and then continue to mix. Now the sauce is super thick and creamy with the salt and pepper combined. It's pretty thick. You can add water to this if you feel like it's too thick. I think I might just do that. For these things, sometimes you just have to kind of feel it out. So now the bechamel sauce is ready and at a good consistency. The minced beef is also perfectly cooked, and the tomatoes at a great texture and consistency. This is exactly how it is, exactly how I imagined it to be, and exactly how I feel it should be for a lasagna. It's kind of, I'm going to use not the best word to describe it, but it's quite sloppy. So yeah, that's the best consistency for a lasagna. So now we have everything prepared, we're going to start assembling the lasagna. So I'll start by adding meat at the bottom. I'm going to put this in the middle for you actually. Then a layer of pasta. Go in with a layer of white sauce. Then we'll go in with a layer of pasta, opposite direction. Then we'll go in with a layer of meat. Then I'll go in with some pasta. Then we'll go in with the white sauce. Another layer of pasta. Then we'll go in with another layer of meat, and this might just be the last layer of meat. Then we'll go in with some pasta. Final layer of white sauce. Cheese. And that is the lasagna prepared. I'll move on to the next dish. So now these are ready. They can both go in the oven. So I've come back after 40 minutes. This lasagna was on top and it's now officially ready. This lasagna was at the bottom and it still needs cooking. So I'm going to pop this back in the oven. This one does have quite a bit of oil at the top, so I'm going to take that off and then cover it. So this is the lasagna. It looks absolutely delicious. It's cooked perfectly golden brown. Hasn't spilled over or anything. Looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to get a piece and serve it. Absolutely perfect. And this is the lasagna. Absolutely delicious looking. How juicy is that? I'm gonna test this out and see how it is, how it tastes. Okay. Tastes absolutely perfect. The pasta inside is perfectly cooked. There's absolutely no need to pre-cook it because it will just end up soggy. Just make sure you've got enough sauce, both the meat sauce and the white sauce, the white bechamel sauce, and you should be good to go. You can serve this up with garlic bread or salad or whatever you wish. It is the hearty pasta favorite we all love and know, lasagna. Hope you enjoy it. Let us know how you get on with the recipe and check the blog for a full write-up. And this is the second lasagna 25 minutes later.